for this tightening cycle. They're not cutting rates soon either, though, because they're keeping an eye on inflation. Remember, they didn't see the CPI numbers before this meeting. Most participants noted the risks of moving too quickly to ease the stance of policy and emphasized the importance of carefully assessing incoming data and judging whether inflation is moving down sustainably. A couple did point out downside risks to the economy if they go too long, but nobody who's spoken since this meeting has suggested that the downside risks are becoming predominant. And as I mentioned, this is the CPI Supercore in the minutes and in several other members who have spoken since then's comments. They've talked about the fact that non-housing service in price inflation was expected to go down, but it went back up last month, at least in the CPI, significantly. And so it leaves open the question of whether there needs to be more restraint put on the economy. But for right now, it doesn't seem to be that's where they're heading.
Well, it's enough to send yields to year-to-high dates. Michael, thanks very much. Bloomberg's Michael McKee. Seema Shah and Daryl Cronk are still with us. Look, Daryl, how much importance do you put on the data that we've been getting? Today, it's another strong labor figure. It was CPI and PPI. Is it a trend yet, or are these still one-offs?
No, I think this is still a one-off. I mean, the trend is certainly directionally to the downside on inflation. We brought it from 9% down to, let's call it 3% or maybe sub-3. Core is still a little too hot, and super core is still too hot. What's interesting and what we have to watch for, Danny, is if you look back over the last 10 weeks or so, gasoline futures are up about 12, 13% as higher energy prices, higher crude oil prices have filtered through. So, you know, history teaches you that when that energy starts to move up, if food prices even hang where they are, and Mike's point, which is the correct one about services, which is 70% of the economy, if that pricing pressure doesn't abate, then I do think that you could have kind of inflation oscillate here for a while, meaning, you know, it's not going to go up materially, but it's certainly not going to keep coming down to the rate it has been and get down to where the Fed wants it to be at a target rate.
Right, and that's a great advertisement for why yields and bonds will continue to be volatile too. Seema, do you see it the same way, that yes, the trend is lower, but it looks like this getting there? It's an oscillation down to that lower trend.
Yeah, I would broadly agree. I mean, like January, a lot of the data that we're looking at the moment is a January base. We need to see if this is extended into February, and so that there's no seasonality may be confusing things. But I would agree overall, you know, the thing that we're expecting is that the journey down back to 2% is going to be very rocky, volatile, and quite clearly quite frustrating as well. But from the Fed perspective, that isn't reason to hike. That's a reason just to keep rates at this level for a little bit longer, which is why the March numbers, the March expectation was seemed very optimistic to us, and why a mid-year number seems to make more sense. Now, if on the other hand, over the next month or so, you were to see another blowout jobs number, another very high CPI number, which is really driven by that non-housing services, well, then I think there is maybe some cause for concern, and the Fed will inevitably be having some discussions around, and the market will start to be maybe speculating, putting a little bit more probability onto the chances of a rate hike. But for the time being, we're sticking with that forecast that June is the first date for the rate cut.
Well, Seema, Torsten Slok from Apollo had been writing today that part of what's making it harder is the Fed themselves. He wrote that, quote, the last mile is harder, not because of some structural feature in the economy, but because of the Fed turning dovish too soon, triggering a reacceleration in growth and inflation. That is why the Fed will keep rates higher for longer than markets expect. Seema, what do you make of that? Is the Fed making the job harder for themselves, or even starting that cut talk?
It's an interesting perspective, and actually I have to agree to some extent, because back in October when Powell suddenly adopted a more dovish stance, that didn't help things. It, you know, certainly assisted in a further loosening in financial conditions. It inspired markets to rise even further. So I think there is some truth to it, and maybe there is some regret, and you certainly have seen the number of Fed speakers over the past couple of months sometimes walking back a couple of comments that had come out from Powell. But I think that, you know, over the last 18 months, we have also heard them repeatedly refer to the 1970s experience where they did cut rates too soon, and then that triggered another rise and a new peak in inflation. So I think that caution stays with them, and it probably means that they are going to be a little bit slower to hike. And I think the last month's data was probably a timely reminder for them.
They're not the only one talking about the 1970s. Daryl, Marco Kolonovich over at JP Morgan was out with a note saying that it's 1970s stagflation, that we're underpricing that risk. Now, I should just be very clear, Marco has gotten some market calls very wrong over the past year, but ever the contrarian, he's out with this one. He says, look, it could be stagflation, and that means fixed income outperforms and stocks are pretty flat. What do you take of that?
I still think the bar is pretty high for stagflation. I mean, stagflation means you got to have inflation accelerate from here, or at least stay high and elevated while you get de minimis growth, right? And so what we've been talking about here lately is not economic growth rolling over and becoming problematic. It's simply, it's chugging along faster or better than expected, certainly in the US. That's not the case globally. I think stagflation is a conversation of what's happening in Europe right now and maybe even select parts of Asia, but I don't think it's a conversation of what's happening here. I think what people have to do is you have to define what is a soft landing. What's the Fed been trying to achieve? And a soft landing to us is supply-demand balances in the economy, balance out, inflation comes down to target, and then interest rates end up at neutral. And the question is the last one, where is neutral on R squared? People are arguing that's too, R squared is too high, or R star, excuse me, not R squared. R star is too high and needs to come down, and the Fed needs to just take a little bit of its foot off the accelerator on the tightening path to make sure the economy soft lands here.
I was about to say, Daryl, I've barely wrapped my head around where R star is. I don't have time for R squared to learn what that is. Seema.
Sorry. Yep.
Seema, I want to wrap it up here. We unfortunately have less than a minute, but I was struck by you saying that alternatives provide important diversification against traditional equities and fixed income. What should my alternatives be?
So first of all, the reason that it's important is last year, because inflation was coming down, you did see investors turn away from alternatives, the inflation protection part of it. And I think now we're remembering that inflation is by no means dead, and there's still that importance of having that protection in your portfolio. So things like infrastructure, commodities, natural resources, those are the areas that we still think deserve a place in the portfolio. Maybe it doesn't do as well if there's a significant equity market rally, but I think we have learned in the last 2 years that there's always a risk that inflation starts taking off again, particularly with the geopolitical factors coming through this year.
Right, and hopefully we learned our lesson of the last few years of what bonds can and can't do. Seema, Daryl, really appreciate your time. Seema Shah and Daryl Kronk there. Coming up, we're going to get in your morning calls, and later, why all stocks aren't created equal. We'll be speaking with BlackRock's Jean Boivin, making the case for mounting dispersion in the equity market. That conversation still ahead here on Bloomberg.
Good morning. Turn this guy off. Good morning, everyone. I had to go make my coffee, but hopefully you enjoyed a little bit of like a podcast style. Allowed me to go make my coffee, but I'm here this morning. I'm ready to go. I got those risk ranges up. Remember, at the end of this video, around the last 10 to 15 minutes, we will be doing a quick little breakdown for you of the stocks that we do cover on this channel, or if we see something crazy, we'll go stock as well. But right now, we just got to talk about it. NVIDIA earnings, look at this. I mean, it is just going and going. They really produced good numbers all around. The technicals got it right this time. Doesn't mean it's going to get it right every time, right? Because we remember we had this similar thing with Tesla, and that went the wrong way on us. And that's why we said even before Tesla, you can have all the divergence in the world, but you need that good news. But you notice when you do get that good news with divergence, bam, we go up. So the points we were paying attention to was 700. 700 already got passed pretty quickly, right? So this got passed pretty quick. 700 was going to be important if we did get some consolidation there. That would have been good. But now we're skipping through all the resistances. Looks like 750 is going to be our very important level to pay attention to for NVIDIA. The next one on the cards here will be, or on the table here will be 800. 800 is where we have that big call wall. I think I showed that in last night's video. If you need to go watch last night's video, just pop into my channel real quick. Go give it a view. Other than that, just smash like on the channel. Again, I'm in college right now. I would come here. And where do you can always join my Patreon to ask me questions, by the way. I can. Actually, I'm gonna try to sign in on this. 2 seconds here. That work? I don't know if this is going to be the right account. Which, let me let her play while I'm figuring this out.
To get selective. That conversation up next.
Aw, man. Or beat bop music. 3 minutes to open. All right. Up at the stream till 10 a.m. Central, which is 1.5 to 2 hours after open. It's pretty much what I'm going to do most of the time. All right, smash like before we get started here. Excited to get started today. We have a lot of things to talk about. We're above 750 on NVIDIA. We got the Qs that are already at its daily expected move. This overall, I would say, was a good trade, but it's all based on one company. So it's a very difficult trade to mentally take because this easily could have went the other way. We're at a point where danger was really right around the corner, and NVIDIA really did show up to the party. That's good. And the best part is now NVIDIA is pushing through some levels. Okay, so now we have those levels to pay attention to. 750, if we can hold above that and we don't see that selling come in, it'll be very, very good for the market. It will be very good for NVIDIA. We'll see some stuff pump. Let's see if any other stocks. We got Apple up 0.5. Amazon getting a good push all the way up to its gap here at 2.5%. Tesla, let's see, Tesla coming in. Actually, I'm going to type this to you real quick. Wordy. Patreon community gets the ranges for every stock and message me. Okay. Just so you guys know. Wanted him to know that. Now, Tesla actually not going green with this news. NVIDIA obviously green by over 10%. AMD going green here by 5% coming up to that gap. So we're going to hit resistances right at the open. We got 1 minute till that happens. I'm just going to pull up the Qs for now. Actually, we can watch NVIDIA maybe in the morning. How about you guys decide? You guys want to watch NVIDIA, the Qs. Do we want to look at these daily ranges, or would we rather pay attention to NVIDIA today? First one to answer in the chat, that's what we'll watch. What plays do we have going for today? Now we're seeing we're way overbought on the shorter time frames. We got to see if this can hold up above 750. Right away, seeing that selling come in. Something I'm paying attention to on NVIDIA is this 2 hour. Remember, we talked about this 2 hour possibly curling up, giving us some kind of divergence here. This could be some kind of big pump and then people take profit. So I'm going to be flipping back and forth between the 2 hour just to watch it. But the Qs coming up 2%, SPY up 1.13 outside of its daily range. This is actually an okay thing. So when we get outside of this daily range, like here on the SPY, now we can use this as support. So look for this to be some kind of test for support over time here to move higher towards that weekly expected move. and some people thought I was bearish in my video last night, and I was like, I don't know how it's bearish. Someone said like, we're obviously going to an all-time high, stop this. And I was like, this is an all-time high, and I said we could head up to here pretty quick. So that video last night was actually kind of bullish. So the Qs, same thing, right? We want to stay above this, use it as support to head higher. NVIDIA was able to hold at above that 750 as of right now. Something that would have maybe been a little bit better for NVIDIA is if it opened up somewhere around 730, right? 730, we start to get a handle, right? We kind of complete all this, get that handle, and then break through this resistance. It would have looked a little better. So this just, when we get up there really, really fast, it invites that fading that you're seeing right here. Apple ticking up now 0.87% to 184, almost up 1%. We will watch the Qs as they break back below that daily expected move. It's got a wide range today. Now this could come down and retest, right? We could get some kind of retest of this area. Would have liked to see this cupping right before that resistance, get that handled, then explode higher. Didn't happen that way, so we'll pay attention to it. Like to check back. Let's see what they're talking about. They're talking a lot about Rivian, down 23%, almost 24% today. So Rivian almost down 24%, even with all the craziness. Of course, one thing's going to go way down. That would be Rivian. I've seen their trucks on the road. I think they're pretty cool, but you just cross down in negative territory. We're probably going to take out this low unless this divergence holds right here. Unless we're able to hold right at this price point, we could head lower on Rivian. You're below the 200. The 50 just crossed it. You actually could see these Bollinger Bands spread out. We could see this come all the way down to here. So looks like if it goes any lower, we won't even have divergence on the RSI. Pretty bad day for Rivian. They're talking about AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile today. Looks like AT&T down almost 3%, Verizon down 2%, a little over 2%. How is everyone's morning going? Does everyone have their morning coffee, all that good stuff? Tell me your plays if you're making any this morning. If there's something you're watching, let me know about it. NVIDIA still holding right above that 750. You see the little fight here. It's going to be a little fight at 750. We broke through that 700, so now 750 is the next calls. We have to see if price can hold above there. Have my tea, Mr. English. And good morning. What kind of tea you drinking? I used to have tea. Well, we used to have tea time. Back before the baby, we used to have tea time. Like what? When did we used to do tea time? Was it like in the afternoon? Can't hear me. But it was fun. I like tea time. Still just holding, seeing if it's able to hold above that 750. So I'm going to keep my eye on the right here at the numbers. See if we're able to hold. SPY looking a little bit actually better because it's still above the daily expected move. So this has the potential to start kind of consolidating sideways or getting something like this to go on. Then we can pop up to that weekly expected move. Have to see what people do on Friday. We're about to hit a lot of new all-time highs. Will anything that the Fed actually mentioned, I'm still red on NVIDIA. It might flip for you. We'll see. But if you're to the put side here, this is going to beat you up today. And that's why I stay away from the earnings. Tesla down 1.24%. Apple not seeing too much strength here either. That is a little bit surprising, but it is retesting right now. Maybe it does get that extension up into this zone. NVIDIA looks like it's holding strong. Okay, We're going to keep it on the Qs for just a little bit. I have my eye on NVIDIA, AMD, and Tesla down 1.6% today. Interesting. Interesting. I wonder if that has something to do with the Rivian news. I would assume so. Carnival Corp, now they're looking at that. Norwegian Cruise, so a lot of cruise, a lot of Royal Caribbean, all going up today, 3, 3, and 6%. Pretty interesting. Small caps. This is actually a 15-minute divergence. If this wants to confirm back down, this actually can start to head down from here. So that's a little 30-minute. We had that divergence all across the board here. Able to cross. Now we have to see, is that going to really confirm? Is this 2-hour going to really flip over, get into positive territory, get us a daily cross? Could take some time. I am warming up some matcha. I have an SQQQ position I'm hoping to get out of with little skin left. Yeah, so SQQQ can beat you up on a day like today. I get that. Now, the good part here is, you know, you see this pop. If we do get this 2-hour to roll over and we make a new all-time high in the Qs, we'll get this 2-hour divergence. Maybe we will actually see some kind of post-Fed sell-off. The SPY already making that new high. Waiting for that to cross, though. Be very patient for this to cross. We're already getting towards that overbought territory. And this is all the market has priced in for the week is right up here. We can now use the daily as support to then head higher. But this is where some people start to think about taking profit. CrowdStrike for you real quick. As long as you're smashing that like button, I will look at CrowdStrike for you. How about that? CrowdStrike. Why am I calling it CrowdStrike? It's literally... My brain's a little... I need to finish this coffee. Daily scale, let's just break this one down for you real quick. So you do have a bunch of divergence on the RSI. No real divergence, maybe a flat one on the MACD. So I don't know if I would fully... Yeah, I guess that's holding it. So you got flatness of the MACD and an actual downward, negative divergence on the RSI. So that would tell me, maybe this is the momentum dying out. Now there is some good news for today. So really what I like to do is pull up the 2-hour, right? So you notice we're in negative territory. See if that's able to wrap back around, okay? So this MACD here, see if this is able to pop up and remain up there. If it's able to remain up there and not get some kind of selling to pull you down, not cross on this MACD, then this is most likely going to be sustained and you're going to test this high. If it pops up for a sec and you see that roll back down, rolling back down on the MACD, guess what? Negative territory, probably going to take out this level right here. I could see us coming down into this area right here to 40, but it can take a lot of time to get there, guys. We got to be patient with this type of stuff. We can take some time to get there. But Mr. English, hopefully that was decent for you. And now we're holding the Qs back above the daily expected move. NVIDIA now at 761, so that's good. It was able to hold above 750. That means the next target we really should be looking at is that 800, honestly. We could get to 800 by end of this week. Welcome, Mr. English. Enjoying your tea, watching some stocks. I get it. AMD going up 7% now. So this was actually really good to break through this level. The only other thing you might have wanted is that cupping. You can still get that cupping now, which would be great, because if you got this sideways move, you'd be hanging out on this little trend line here. You can kind of consolidate at the top of this triangle, maybe consolidate sideways and get that push higher to come up and test the high. That's really good. 762 on NVIDIA. Tesla now down only 1%. Apple only 0.4. That is surprising with all the divergences, all the good news. Maybe we should kind of read into that. DLT slight pop. Dollar actually popping too, just a little bit here. Dollar going up. So VIX breaking down all the way to the gap. This is where we talked about we could see that volatility come back in right here. The question is, are we going to get some kind of consolidation, right? So are we actually, going to be able to connect these points here? And maybe we come into some kind of big triangle like this. We just fell out of that one. So I really think that we still could head lower. We can mark this for now as an idea, but I really think that we do have a good shot to come all the way back down to like a 13 or 1250. Interesting stuff. Move index getting a little bit of volatility there. Position volatility. Yeah. Bond volatility. Still holding right where we need to. I'll have to fix that main screen if I'm going to do that opening screen. I'll put like tune into the last 10 minutes for the full breakdown or something. Because there are people who are watching this after the live video ends. And I'm sure they don't want to go through the whole video. Andrew Ong, thank you so much for subscribing. I'm sure you're bouncing in your chair just like that little icon. You're so excited. Excited to have you. Puts. Okay, so people still are overall on the put side here, betting it will go down. We do not have any signals that are telling us this is going to go down today yet, besides overbought. So if this wants to hang out above here, let's use the SPY as a reference. This just wants to hang out here all day. Those people piling in puts will get a little bit hurt. All right, and if this is able to consolidate and hold above that top side of the daily expected move, we can see more come in. This right here is kind of one of those 32% scenarios that could happen. The only thing we're looking for is 68% chance that this actually does fade, and we are outside of that February expected move to the upside again. So we could be getting some kind of pop and drop here towards the end of the month. Just keep that in mind. Not saying in any way that this is bearish yet. It's just we are at levels where we could really see things flip. We've been at those levels for a long time, and I've been just trying to tell you guys the times where we need to be cautious, right? So this divergence here, need to be cautious between these. This divergence here, this was a time to be cautious. We get the sell-off. And there was a little divergence here. We were like, this is a time to be cautious, get a little sell-off. Now these are just little pullbacks. But we already know how these pullbacks work, right? This pullback came down, wasn't able to get into negative territory. You see that curl back up. Now you know there's more positivity to come. So that's really how you can read into this stuff. Now we have a buy signal. We have the 2 hour that is crossing one more time. So will this come up into the weekly expected move today and end? Actually, that would be interesting. If we get towards this weekly expected move, do we actually end the day back within the dailies, right? Do we actually pop up and then drop back down so we're within this zone? That would be very interesting. Then we'd have to look at tomorrow's daily expected move in tonight's YouTube video. How fun is it to subscribe on this channel? You get a little guy that pops up on the screen. Name gets out there. Come on, that's cool. Very basic. Qs, we're starting to get that buy signal, getting the green bar on the histogram. So look for the 2 hour to get into positive territory. This can last for quite some time. The only thing I would say is if we violate and get above this level right here on the MACD, then we might have to be looking for a bullish run, an actual bull run that kind of takes us a little bit higher maybe to create some kind of divergence. Mr. What should we not be fooled by? I'm going to be totally honest. I have not made the thumbnail for my live video yet. So I've been just using that one because I like Jerome Powell with the clown face. Just being honest on that, JC. No, this is nothing to be fooled really about. We have a lot of positivity. We have the crossing of this MACD up. So this is a very bullish thing. We're above that daily expected move. Looks like we're struggling to break down from it, which is something that we really wanted to point out today, early this morning, because we kind of felt we were going to gap. I really thought we'd gap to like right here, you know, gap up to this kind of gap fill area, get a handle and go up. But if you get that extra strength, that's not bad as long as it doesn't fade down. So really be paying attention to the MACD RSI behavior here. We're well within positive territory. So if we do get some kind of consolidation and then a push higher, it would make sense. SPY is going to be a good one to watch, making a new high there as well. Tesla starting to buy back, only down 0.78 now. NVIDIA 772. Okay, so this is where I said we can start to get that squeezing past 750. We looked at maximum pain. We can get all the way up to 800. The highest level that I see NVIDIA getting to, I wrote it down, somewhere around 820. 820 is going to be where I'm going to start being like, okay, this is where the gas really might be out of the tank here. Better thing to look at, 2 hour. You see this, if we create some kind of 2 hour divergence, even where we're at right now, I do think we still have the potential to push to an 800 and 820 at the max. And then see if people want to hit the sell. But honestly, people could take profit kind of like SMCI, no real bad news, but maybe people take profit and then this thing can consolidate or get some kind of pullback again, because this is a strong move, guys. Very strong move. Stream has been freezing on me from time to time. Good morning, by the way. Has the stream been freezing for anyone else? You may just reload it. I can check I can pull up the feed here. Oh. I don't see any freezing on my end. You can always turn the quality down to 720. Yeah, right now it's on 1080 on mine, so 720. Thank you guys for smashing that like button. I just saw some of your guys' likes. Yeah, also for me. Damn. I'm watching it for a sec. I'll pull it up here for a second. Yeah, I'm not. I mean, as of right now, I'm not seeing any freezing. But sometimes my camera freezes. But as long as you can hear my voice, I'll try to keep you guys as updated as possible. I know it's annoying when streams are wonky. But as of right now, I'm not seeing any freezing. Keep me updated. Mr. Iglesias, what is up? Good morning. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the channel. Holy crap, do you guys see NVIDIA today? 774. Looks like it really wants to head to that 800. That's where we need to be a little cautious. Maybe we do get that extra push to 820, 825. And then that's where I'm really looking to see if people can hold up at those levels. Holding above 800 would be huge. If it starts to break back down below 800, you might see some profit taking. AMD about to get that cross. So this is big on the 2 hour. I know we're going to look at 15-minute, but 2 hour, we could get that push higher now. Test this high, see if we can go make a new one. But maybe in this price action here, we get some kind of divergence. Wait for that to cross because we're still right by negative territory. So this is all positive stuff for the market. You really just don't want it to create any kind of divergences here for like AMD. NVIDIA, same deal. You don't want this divergence to confirm and get down into negative, because this could be some kind of pop and then drop back down. And if we do get that pop and drop back down for whatever reason, we could start to head lower just in consolidation, right? This could just be a further pullback until we get some bad news that really flips over the thinking of this market, because it is very, very bullish. This is very bullish, you have to admit. Very, very bullish right here. If you were swing trading a 2-hour, you'd be bummed because you didn't get the full confirmation here yet. This is the first crossing, that kind of bummer. Apple, we'd like to see some more strength out of Apple, to be honest. Maybe it's going to struggle to break through some levels here. But if it can break through that, we can see that positivity come in. SPY heading up towards the top side of that range. And NVIDIA still at 772. So I just want to pay attention to SPY for a second, because it's hitting the top side of the weekly range, about to. How low do you think the pullback could go? It would depend. One thing you can maybe look at to compare it, because I believe this was mostly just a profit-taking pullback, right? So 2-hour here got us into negative territory. Kind of what I just said on NVIDIA, what I just drew up is pretty much what happened here. We got that surge higher, but then we come back into the point where we had some liquidity. This is the only real point where we had a little bit of price action. So we come down near that area, we see it pop, we try to consolidate right below it, and that's perfectly fine. We get that good news, we pop higher. So this actually crossing on the MACD would be bullish for SMCI, and maybe we test this high. At this point, you're at a level where people sold, so you can see a lower high form. NVIDIA dropping off to 768. As long as it doesn't break below 750 today, and really get that fading, you can closing at 750. You just don't want it to get below, because then those calls could start to sell. Use fading, a lot of stuff fading, so it looks like the market is very, very bullish here, but we have to still pay attention because some stuff is selling off. We just filled this gap, and now we're seeing that resistance come in. We kind of got to see this fight between our daily expected move and the gap. I think I never really, I feel like I don't ask you guys enough. What do you think will come of this? Do you think the move will fade? Do you think we will see it push higher to 800 on NVIDIA? Do you think people will hit the sell button once we get up towards that call wall? Or maybe it just keeps squeezing and we go to 1,000. You know, what do you guys really think off of that news that we got yesterday? Mindful Notion says fade. And look at that, it's fading. Fade, fade. We have two faders. I mean, Apple's not really confirming the move at this point. Apple's a good one to pay attention. It's not really confirming that this is great news for the market. Most important to hold today is above 750, and that's, yeah, it's a really good way to look at it. I might even pull up maximum pain because that does change overnight. Saving this. Let's see if any of this changed. Whoa, okay. So the 700 call wall went ballistic. That 800 call wall is massive now. 750 is actually smaller than the 700, smaller than 800. 750 is going to be really important. If we start to crawl down to 700, yeah, these 700 calls might start to hit the sell button as well. So you really don't want to drop below 750 for too long. Consolidating up here would be good right around that 750 mark. Sorry, I'm clicking a bunch. All right, there you go. That's where we don't want to cross below. Notice that the opening was right at 750. Oh, it's funny how the market works sometimes. He is getting some wicking up here, which the Qs didn't confirm this move, okay? So the Q is actually making a lower high at this point, while the SPY making a higher one. And this is why I was stating if we were going to get a bigger pullback, it would be nice because you'd get some good structure right here, right? You could get some big swings and then get a big push higher if you're able to consolidate for quite some time. But now we might be getting a pop and drop because we're getting ahead of ourselves. Still, this is bullish though. Are we creating some kind of divergence on this 2 hour? Really like Apple to participate. That would really make it more. Yeah, a few percentage away though. Yeah, NVIDIA is 767 right now. Really think we still have that shot. Look at this. Look how close we are to at least the SPY weekly expected move. I really would think that is going to go up there today. But is it going to give us this kind of triple divergence? Not showing on the RSI between this high, though, so it would be between this one. Is there anything else you guys are looking at? I know Rivian's selling off like crazy right now. Bitcoin. Take a look at Bitcoin for fun. Bitcoin about to cross on its daily MACD. It seems like it's just struggling to close below that 9. So once it closes below the 9, you can start to look for other moving averages. Really pay attention to all of this price action in here. That's where most likely we could see something happen. The US 100 I was watching, you'll see on this 2 hour scale, we're kind of in a perfect flag here. We're actually in a pretty good flag. So if we wanted to break up from here, right, we have this, we need some kind of dipping down to collect some in here. We might get a little dip down and then start to push up, wait to see if we actually close outside of this. Right now we're overbought on this, so boom. SPY didn't really have much, but you do have this breakthrough at this point. Could get a retest, then go higher. We are holding as of now. Bitcoin peaking during off hours. Yeah, I think it was up to 52.5, 53. Something around there. Let's see if anyone's talking about anything juicy.
Meet the greatest investors in the world, the people that I would like to have managing my money.
Today,
I have that.
I would say perhaps only second to AI.
Pretty much an advertisement. Good, personally. I thought coin was suffering a little bit. It did. Oh, dang, it did. Yeah. I'm really surprised Apple's not getting more bullish here. That's maybe not the best sign. Really want Apple to participate, and then the Qs could probably go up and make a new high here. Shrink it down for you so you can see all of the lines on the screen. Thank you guys as always for hitting that like button. Really appreciate it. Anytime, tell me a play you're making, anything you think is going to happen. I'd like to hear it. I like to chat. Are we watching from work today? What are we doing? I have to do another 2 coffee morning. Apple, buddy, you need some strength here, which I mean, it makes sense to get a little bit of resistance here, but you'd really like with that super positivity for it to gap up like this and just start going. Apple really has to complete all of this cup here in order to really head higher. That's really what I'm looking for Apple. NVIDIA back up to 770, able to hold above 750 at this point. The Qs, looks like we're just moving sideways on this RSI. That would actually be okay if we just move sideways for a long time today. Maybe at like noon or something like that, or later in the day, we get that second push. That would be market, to be honest. VIX, we don't see much. I mean, it completed a little cup here, got a handle. We might see a little bit of volatility, but it's really got a. It's been swinging pretty good though, right? Boom, boom, boom. So we can see a 2 hour. Yeah, following the 2 hour here has been pretty good. If this curls up and breaks through these two little lines here, right here, boom, we could see volatility come back in. It's still positive on the 2 hour right now. So even though we're hitting a new high again on SPY, we still do have volatility at a higher level. So that's what you need. You need it to hold at a higher level. Let's see if it's holding. It's dropping below the 200 as of right now, but it's holding up in the middle of the Bollinger Bands. So we can see maybe some positive trend coming in the VIX soon, which might, it might hint to you that there are banks that are really starting to struggle with these rates where they're at. That is something to really think about. The rates are causing these banks to struggle. They were planning on cuts come March, and now they're really starting to struggle with it. So that's something to really pay attention to, as the Fed just said that they don't feel that they are fully in control of the inflation at this point. They just said it in a very nice way. NVIDIA at 770. I'm going to leave this up on the 15-minute now. Stop bouncing around so much. There you go. We're going to leave it here for a little bit on the Qs. I do have my eye on NVIDIA for you guys. Sold AMD calls and snow calls. Okay, shortly after the open today might have been too soon. Possibly. I mean, it's not the worst thing in the world. AMD getting a solid move. I haven't checked snow, but overall, you could say from the Q's perspective, this is all the day was expecting. So there is a higher likelihood that this fades than keeps going, by the way. So when you come out of an expected move, yes, this is very bullish, and it can keep happening, but you would like to see some maybe consolidation, get some kind of retesting today, and then maybe see some positivity at the end of the day that gets you to right here. So you want maybe some consolidation, and then we see this little break at the end of the day, and that could be your hint. Hey, this is going to possibly continue tomorrow. QQQ and SPY puts. Damn, that's... I mean, I totally understand the thinking. I mean, as far as tomorrow, I know a 2 hour wouldn't help you too much for tomorrow, but, we did leave a gap behind. We like to fill those within 5 trading days. We have a divergence that's forming up here. If this can hold on the MACD here as a crossing, maybe we do push up above that. That would give us a 2 hour divergence outside of the weekly range. We can see that fade on Friday with expirations coming up, because you have to think about it. Those expirations that I just talked about, that max pain that we were talking about, there are 20,500 call contracts at 800. There's 14,000 at 750, and there's 19,500 at 700. So a lot of people will most likely be hitting that sell button on Friday, because those expire Friday. Those expire tomorrow. Now, will they just reload those into calls for next week? That will be an interesting thing. We'll put it that way. It'll be very interesting, but we're starting to already hit those overbought territories where we could form some divergences here. Just because the divergence is forming, want to wait for that to confirm. One thing that is still really scaring me is Apple. Apple should really be getting some strength here. The fact that it's not getting some strength while everything else looks pretty damn strong, except for Tesla. Tesla, though, buying back up. Little worrisome. This right here could be flagging at this point. So you really want to see this MACD curl up on this 2 hour. Get that positivity back in. We're still in a good zone here. We just have to break through this important level one more time. We've been doing good though on the daily expected moves. I think we've landed within them 2 days in a row. So usually it's 68%, so that would be 2, and you'd say, okay, well, maybe one more time we land in it, and then we can expect to land outside of it, or we land outside of it today, and we land back within it tomorrow. Maybe I'll even look up a daily expected move for NVIDIA for you guys for tonight's YouTube video. Would that be cool? I think I can make one for tomorrow. So if you guys are interested in a NVIDIA daily expected move for tomorrow, that might be fun. Maybe like the stream if you want to see that for tomorrow or tonight's video. That way you have that info before open. I know me with the baby. I am slow to get on here, so I just had to throw up a quick, I'll be here in a second. I just need coffee. Apple finally going up 0.63. Really want, like, it needs at least a 2% move today, probably. Really say this is strong. If we can get a pullback, will tomorrow be a green day? So you pretty much got your pullback, right? This is a pullback. We were talking about the divergence down here. You had a 30-minute divergence. If you want to see that real quick, we had this 30-minute divergence, and then you had a second divergence in this price action right here. Led to a pop. That was your pullback. From here, you're probably looking for consolidation. You really want this to hold on NVIDIA above 750 by tomorrow. So if this wants to kind of round out and consolidate, give us something like this, and then we start to break through at the end of the day, or even if it comes down, comes up, and then you see that by the end of the day, that would be a good sign for the Qs. NVIDIA, it's just still taking off, but you notice the RSI is like at its max level pretty much, and it's just still it's kind of just ripping. So pay attention to 800. I would even say 820, but you want to pay attention to that going into tomorrow because that's when the actual options expire that we've been talking about. Coin making a nice move, and coin got beat up, so coin had its pullback as well. Coin had its pullback. You got a 15-minute divergence right here. 30-minute, you get that crossing. Good sign if we're able to get into positive territory. This could still be some kind of lower high. Just want to bring that up because you are very far away. This could just be some kind of pop. So I'd really be looking for this to get into positive territory, remain there if you want to see it test this high. Because if this thing rolls back over, it's probably going to test this low or make a new one. Now something that could happen here, boom, boom, comes down. Now you have a head. You could get a shoulder around this area. So right here, you could start to form a shoulder. Kind of that looks like a handle, right? We could get some kind of deep handle and then head up. Good sign though. If it's starting to get into positive territory, I'd be more comfortable saying like, oh yeah, it's looking pretty good. Solid bounce though. 4%, not bad. Right? Yeah, about 4%. That's pretty dang good. Aren't you tired of your crash predictions? What crash predictions? I said the market. I made a bullish video before NVIDIA earnings showing you the bullish signals. Then I'm literally still bullish today on it. Someone's got to back me up on that. We were talking about all the bullish things that were going on yesterday. We literally just did it 2 minutes ago. Qs, 30-minute divergence. That means probabilities are saying we're going to see a bounce. We see a bounce because we get the actual good news. That's all it is. Like, it's not complicated. Even Apple, I was bullish. It hasn't happened yet, but we have divergence down here. We have a 2-hour divergence at the same time. So this is telling you the probabilities are saying it's dying out. It could bounce. We talked about this zone. If we're going to make something lower, if we're going to see it turn and go all the way up, daily will roll over. Just because the thumbnail looks bearish doesn't mean that the video is bearish, guys. And actually, I made 2 bullish thumbnails the last 2 days, so my videos did not as good. But I'm still just telling the truth on here. I'm not going to say get out in my thumbnail every day like a lot of other ones. Unless I have signals to show you that say, hey, this might be a time to be cautious. Right now, we're fine. SPY, if it pops up and we see this fade, you'll have divergence right by negative territory. We can see that drop, but we still got that pop, and I think it might come to the weekly expected move. Someone even said like, oh, we're going to new all-time highs, stop being so bearish in my video yesterday, and I was just like, I literally said in the video we could go to the weekly expected move, which is a new all-time high. Look, there's nothing else over here. This is an all-time high. So I would highly encourage you to pay attention to the video, but I am going to give both cases because things can flip very quickly. This is bullish. If it wants to remain bullish, it has to not create a divergence here right by negative territory. We're looking for those times where we can be like, okay, there's a good chance. So where were those times? Well, let's look. There was a good chance right here. We had divergence on the RSI and MACD. What happens here? We get that plunge down. It's a pullback. That's perfectly fine. We hold up. And the way that we know this is fully a pullback is we got this crossing of the MACD here. Okay, we push higher. We start to create a divergence, but this confirmation here, with this price action, I wouldn't really call it that way, but we could have seen this type of thing happen, right? Didn't, we pop higher, so we remain in positive territory. It's fine. We have no divergence up here at all, really. I think we had like a flatness, a little divergence on the MACD, which I always say if you have one, not both, then it's most likely a pullback. CPI, we get the pullback, we bounce back up, make a lower high. Now we're getting close to the negative territory, possibly creating a divergence. We can't tell you to buy or sell. You got to read between the lines this much on YouTube. Really, I'm more trying to come from an education standpoint, not trying to predict the future. It's impossible. No one has a time machine. I trade on probabilities, baby. Oof, AMD. That crossing. So the one we would pay attention to here, any kind of divergence right here, really make sure, because if this just pops real quick and drops back over, we could see that pulled. But this is still a pretty good consolidation. So until we actually get a breakout, we've had to fix this a few times, but you see it could keep going like this, get tight, and then we see that breakout up, see that breakdown. Yeah, NVIDIA looking solid. Still looking for that 800 price point. Tesla getting a little bit of steam left, still in a little bit of a flagging here. Be careful, it could come down. If it comes down, maybe we do this. But that's probably with the Rivian news. I still think we have a good shot to come up into this zone, fill this gap first. Thanks, Paul E. I appreciate your good data analysis. Appreciate it, man. Here. Talking about over here. Video.
Talking about the supply chain, could you give us a sense of how NVIDIA is dealing with the snarled global supply chain? Any challenges there?
They have done an absolutely amazing job at bringing up supply, right? The last year, for every quarter, the biggest concern was not demand, but supply, because usually when you try to bring up supply so fast, so quick, you do run into hiccups. We didn't see any hiccups throughout every quarter last year.
Oh man, we talked about that yesterday too.
You know, the gross margin upside,
well,
a
2
key
days
driver
ago.
for that was lower component cost. And what we read from that is that they were able to get more suppliers online. They were able to expand and diversify supply and enjoyed the benefits of the pricing that comes with it. So they've done an absolute amazing job bringing up supply this quick.
All right, so in the chip space, the play here for AI is NVIDIA. Is there a number two
Bitcoin
play
shorts
that I can
jumped
try to,
by 30%.
jump onto?
Interesting.
I cannot comment on
AMC up
regarding
1%,
the valuation, but
guys.
from the fundamental point of view,
Starting to get some
a
calls
couple of
trickling
other
into
names
the
we really
market.
like in terms of AI and semis are
Starting to get
AMD
people to flip,
and
I think,
Broadcom, and to
the
some
call
extent
side.
Marvell.
All right, Kunjan, thanks so much for joining us. Kunjan Sobhani, senior analyst on semiconductors.
Slightly,
Bloomberg
still at
Intelligence, joins us
0.94.
on Zoom from San Francisco. And again, just a great print out of NVIDIA, and that's something that the stock had to have because it's up over 240% over the last year, and it's up
Yeah, it is.
50% year to date. So that was a high bar of expectations for the street, and the stock's up 15% on the print. So market's telling you they like what they heard last night.
Yep, biggest intraday gain since May 25th.
Sure, I didn't listen to the call. I wonder if anyone else did.
Now
But
up to $776 per share for NVIDIA.
And for a market cap of $1.94 trillion. So some significant market cap. And that's kind of lifting the markets across the board here today. The S&P up 1.5%, the Dow up 0.7%. But the NASDAQ and the NASDAQ 100, those are the tech-heavy indexes and that most closely track the technology space, up about 2.4% today. So a big move there in the markets. And I know the VIX for Tom Keene, it is off sharply, down just above 14 here. So this is a market, Emily, like a lot of folks were saying, tech has been a leader of this market for so long. And certainly just for 2023, after the dismal 2022, it really reasserted.
Tesla just went green.
23. It looks like it's going to continue that this year.
Yeah, exactly. I talked to a lot of
Video
portfolio
hitting
managers who say
778
you
real
really
quick.
just can't bet against tech. And it's interesting too because we are seeing treasury yields higher just by a little bit. The 2-year up almost 3 basis points, and the market, at least the equity market, just doesn't seem to be bothered by that.
Nope, not at all. So again,
Yeah, 2-year up a little bit.
4.3% on your 10-year.
That's that difference in the
commodity
yesterday,
space,
the
just a little bit
TLT
there.
versus
We've forgotten about that today. WTI
the overall
crude oil, pretty
market.
much
TLT
unchanged
still
all
not
day,
popping
sitting at around
higher.
$78
Yields not coming
per
down.
barrel. Gold a little bit
Which
lower,
can put pressure on banks.
an ounce, and
A
Bitcoin
lot of pressure.
off just slightly today, but still 51,300 for our favorite cryptocurrencies.
I don't mind this
They're
guy.
holding on to some gains there as we get the spot ETFs taking in more money. We'll have more coming up. This is Bloomberg.
Oh, Bloomberg. Thanks, man. Appreciate all your guys' insight. So TLT, we were just talking about how you notice the market's popping, going up to the high. Well, TLT is still down, so you do still have that smart money, dumb money. Actually, I haven't looked at high yield growth in a minute. Same type of thing. Daily on this, you'll notice that we're actually still holding at lower levels. SPY making a new high. We're actually getting pretty tight here. We're actually creating some kind of structure in here now. Say something like this, but that can elongate for quite some time. Really useful info there. Thank you, Wordy. Appreciate that. I hope it helps. I really do. That's the overall goal of this channel, is to mainly just be like, you know, teach people about the things that I've used that have helped me. And I was encouraged to make this channel, and I've gotten some insight from people that actually worked in New York in big trading firms, and they've seen my channel and they've come and talked to me in person and been like, hey, what you're doing is very good. And so I really appreciate that. Because I overall want it to be helpful. If it ever stops being helpful, then I probably won't do it, you know? That's why I give both sides of the coin, right? I give the bullish most of the time. Right now it's extra bullish, but I still give a little bearish take just in case something happens, because, you know, anything can happen in the market. But the signals we're saying very, very bullish. NVIDIA gives us the good news. Very, very bullish. Thank you, Iglesias. Thank you, thank you. I don't know why I'm like itchy. But yeah, you have to be still cautious, because when you see things like NVIDIA, when you see things like this in the stock market, this does not happen very often. This is very interesting behavior here. And I also said we could create some kind of little daily divergence, and it looks like we're about to cross on that. So if we get another green day, we could create some kind of divergence up here. Ready to dive into your course. Lillian, I saw you bought that. I actually mentioned you in a video or on the live stream, and I said, you know, I was like, Lillian's taking my course. I really want to know how they're feeling about it. But if you haven't taken it yet, I try to make it very as simple as I can so that you can learn very efficiently. And I always encourage when you do take that course, right? Send me an email or be a part of my Patreon so you can shoot me a message, ask me questions. I don't want it to be you take the course and you're done. I really want you to be like, hey, I thought this part was good. I was struggling with this part. Okay, ask me a question about it. Maybe I can clarify, or we can even, I was playing with setting up little hour increments for people to kind of book a session. So you could ask me questions about the course, and taking the course first makes that very good. Give me some feedback for real. I think I say it in the course multiple times. Email me or send me a message on Patreon. But I really do appreciate it. That was very cool. I did notice it, and I'm excited to see what you think. But yeah, whenever you're in areas like this, you want to just look at it from an investment side of things. Would you rather invest down in these areas, down in this area, or way up here? Well, if this thing goes to, 1200 and then pops down, you're going to say, oh, I wish I invest right here. But the probabilities of that happening at this point are low, because this was like the best news you could have got, and you're still hitting the levels that we're watching, right? 800, 750. 1014, thought for a sec that I've made a mistake, but as it seems all going good right now is what I assume you're stating. And the other thing, if you do have a position here, really just look out for that 800 we've been talking about, 800 to 820, 825. But if this curls up, we can see that strength for some time until some bad news. Buying is pretty out of the question right now. The question right now is who's taking profits. Exactly. So the thing here is you'll notice that we have green here. We have red on, our lower levels on TLT. The dollar actually starting to get a little jump higher. This is something we've talked about at the end of our videos. If this is all, beautiful and gorgeous, well, who's holding cash right now? There's some people that are holding cash right now, and you wouldn't really think that based on looking at the market, but there's a lot of people holding cash at this point. So yeah, I'm not ever going to get overly bullish at these areas. Now I can tell you, hey, it looks like a bullish day might be coming, which seems to be the case. I would say that that's pretty bullish. And we said that 2 days ago, that there were bullish setups. But Apple is not confirming that bullish setup, right? We're not getting that daily to fully cross. And we even have like almost a slight divergence here. We have that divergence actually on the RSI just barely. So if this divergence wants to cross, we can see major positivity out of Apple. But it is not confirming that. It's actually trying to close below the 200 again, right by a little part here where we have to hold up. You want to look at this big wedging, this big ascending triangle we've been in. Well, if we start to break below that, you're inviting the door to come down to this 166, get a little pop, then you're inviting it to come way down. So we showed you guys that monthly chart that really showed us, if you want to see it real quick, really shows you, look at the divergence, and guess what? Apple's confirming it this month. So if Apple doesn't see that positivity come in over the next week or two, you're going to get this to confirm. If this gets into negative territory, we might be breaking down pretty low, like testing this 124. Just have to be cautious there, and maybe this plays out as some kind of big head and shoulders in the grand scheme of things. We pop down, they cut rates, we see that big push up, we get a lower high, and then we see that fall out. There's potential for that right now, and that's why I will keep telling you guys about these types of things. There's potential for it to happen. You should be aware of it. Doesn't mean it has to. You have your own trading strategies and stuff like that. But Lillian, in the course, I do give you a strategy using everything that you do learn that I have personally used and I will personally use if we go into a more volatile. Mr. Ingles, I'm going to buy the course, need to know more on divergence, etc. Divergence is something, I think it has its own section in there. So it's broken down into lessons that cover certain indicators, and we kind of go in an order. Once you get to divergence, very good with the weekly ranges to use that divergence. That's what I use in my course for that trading strategy I give you for the volatile market. And then we also go over volatility. You don't want to use that strategy at low volatility levels. I would say even below 20 is what I most of the time would say. Take it to sell on 780 and don't risk it. If lots of people selling NVIDIA on Friday, maybe then Bitcoin will wake up. You mean selling on Bitcoin? Your Jandis? You mean selling on Bitcoin, or do you think it would wake up to go higher because you think people would outflow out of NVIDIA and go back into Bitcoin? Right now, the Q is something to pay attention to. See if we're still holding above this level. NVIDIA's fine at 777 as long as we don't see that thing drop below 750. I would not get too worried once we see it drop below 750 and close below there, say on like a 30-minute or something. It can get, the selling can pile on because those calls might try to take profit before tomorrow. But I really think we're going to keep, I really think we have a shot to hit 800. And I guess I should be, I put up 2 bullish videos and people call me a bear. I'm like, I don't get it. Also, you had wedging here too. How much for your course? Right now it's $100. $100. I was always planning on making it 200. I think it even says down in the description right now, it says like, oh, we're going to raise it at New Year's. I did have some people grab it, but I just really wanted to make something very concise, very efficient, very easy to learn. I even had someone who does not trade at all take it and see if they could understand some stuff, and they were like, oh, that's what that is. They're like, that's pretty cool. Like, so it's very beneficial. I'm not going to raise it to 200 most likely for a little bit. I was thinking by end of this month raising it to 200, but I might extend that for another month. I really want, you know, especially people that are in my channel early to be like, hey, you know, you get this access. You were early to join the channel. Grab it for $100 while it is. Give you guys a few months there. Oh, Nicola? Of course, they got you. Maybe we'll join later. Yeah, and that course, I know it's a monthly thing to join the Patreon, but it is worth it because you can ask me questions on Patreon. Now, don't overload me. You know, I can only answer so many, but I would say if you have questions related to the course and you don't want to join Patreon or anything like that, just shoot me an email. Make sure that you understand it. And I'm thinking of coming out with like a little, you know, little sessions that you can come and ask questions, and that will be mainly open to people who it'll be kind of like first access to people who actually took the course, because I'd like to answer questions about the course for you, go through how you can implement it. Just make sure, Wordy, when you are taking that course, don't try to use that in strategy in times like now, right? Because you would have used that strategy and got pretty beat up. You can get really beat up in a bull run using that. You really don't want to use it during that. You can use the other information. But if we do see volatility start to spike higher, which it's breaking down, maybe we do come all the way down to this level we were talking about. Once you do see that get above 16, I would say even preferably get above 20. That's why I have a big thick green line on it. That's when I use that strategy. And I go over that in the course. Tesla going negative again. Wonder if that was some flagging. Sorry, I bounce around a lot, guys. I'm sorry. Just look at Tesla though. Yeah, see, this actually is a structure that could break down just a little bit. Boom, boom. Get a tiny one here. We can break through this level, so little cautious here on Tesla. That's probably just reacting to Rivian news or something like that. talk about GG. Thoughts. Oh, Dollar General. I like Dollar General. Not the stock. Yeah, so you do have divergence here, bud. So you have divergence here. I'd be a little careful with this because you are below the 200 with divergence by negative territory. Time to be a little cautious when you see things like that. Totally understand, though. People probably invest down here all the time, right? We saw investment down here and it goes up, but here we're above the 200. Here you're below it. So you're just on the daily side a little bit like, okay, well, what if this completes a full cup, gets a handle? It actually could head lower. Be careful below the 200. That's what I would say. If this starts to get above the 200, you see some consolidation here, you can start to swing trade that bad boy up. But I'm just notifying you, you got divergence here. And you have it on the RSI at the same time. So if this confirms, not the best sign. NVIDIA trying to break through that 778 pretty much. AMD getting a ton of strength here. Breaking through. There you go. It broke through. See if this daily is able to curl. I would be actually a little surprised if that daily was fully able to curl up. I'm really going to pay attention to this 2 hour going into tomorrow and today, end of today. The measured move here. See where you would maybe get taken to. Maybe 200. Looks like it could. Now, I don't use measured moves for my stuff, but this here is what I'll pay attention to, and this here is what I'll pay attention to. See if we create even a divergence just on the MACD, gets us into negative territory. This could trap some people. Apple's really struggling, looking very weak. That's what I was thinking. You think SPX is going to hit 5,100 by tomorrow? I think there's potential just because the weekly expected move is up that direction. 5064 to the upside is what I have marked off, which is right where we're at now. So actually, the SPX is showing you that it's actually at where it could lose steam. So if this surges up, just be a little careful because you could be creating some divergence between this high that gets you right next to positive territory. But I can't tell you if you should try to grab it so it goes up tomorrow. That's just too hard, you know. We really just want to follow the price action and react. That's a better way to do it than trying to guess every single time. But this is a very strong move. We haven't hit that 506 on the SPY yet, but the SPX has hit the top side of the expected move. It's actually at it right now. Biden calls Putin crazy son of a bitch. Not the smartest move. I don't want to call that guy that. Look at that gap up right above 750. That is very, very nice from NVIDIA. If you were part of the live stream yesterday, we went over this. This is where we really were talking about, you know, the maximum pain. It needs to get above 750 and stay there to see more squeezing. And it is. This here has the potential for triple divergence. Very good probabilities behind a triple divergence, by the way, if this would get up into this area. SPY. I guess you would have a slight divergence here between these highs. And then if that is able to create another divergence, because this on the RSI wasn't at the same time. Really, really would like them to be at the same time. Maybe that's going to happen right now with this high. See a 30-minute. No hints here. It's just a very, very bullish move. Coming up into some major resistance here. NVIDIA finally able to cross. It didn't get above 780. That one there is just this SMA 950 180. I changed that to a 200 EMA by sell. Now I would say don't, you know, you need to, in my course, and Lillian will attest to this once she takes it, Wordy, if you take it, it overall talks about you need 3 to 5 reasons to take a trade. And then I simply go through and give you guys scenarios where I would make those 3 to 5 reasons to take a trade. Of course, there's more, but they moved together. Yes, they did have very high demand. I think a lot of people are going to love the AI side of things. Obviously, people are going to start to do that because it just makes your life easier from a business perspective. Like, I used to work in a marketing agency where I had to write blogs for SEO reasons using keywords. Now you can technically just use AI to create all that for you. So that is something good. You can use AI for call centers. You can use AI for not even call centers, like chats. So you can chat with something and you can program the AI. That stuff is very useful. But yeah, using this as a strict buy or sell, you're going to run into scenarios where you see sell real quick, and it only sells off a tiny bit. Sell right here, guess what? It went up. Sell right here, finally it comes down. So, but you do have that divergence here on this one. So this one is one you could pay more attention to and see that downward move. Yeah, so NVIDIA is, I think they said 1/3 of the revenue of the NASDAQ, and that is worrisome. So if NVIDIA goes down, the Qs go down. But, and I've said this a bunch, I don't think it's a bad company at all. But is it really valued at 800 or something like that? We'll have to see, maybe in the future. But this could break down from these type of levels. Stocks moving. I mean, they're all going to move with NVIDIA. So a good way to think about it is look at what NVIDIA is doing. It's kind of like Bitcoin. You look at what Bitcoin's doing back in the past, and you could know if, like Dogecoin or any other coins, Ethereum, if it's not moving yet, things like that, you can pay attention to. NVIDIA would be your Bitcoin. NVIDIA you want to pay attention to. If NVIDIA looks positive, you're going to see positivity. If NVIDIA starts to sell off dramatically, you're going to most likely see things like AMD, SMCI, those type of things will start to fade. It's good to pay attention to the top dog. But it's like, you know, NVIDIA could produce great earnings, and then AMD produces bad earnings. We noticed that. AMD produced bad earnings. We saw that sell off. But look how it moves just from NVIDIA's earnings standpoint. Moving, right? So even though it's producing bad numbers, if NVIDIA is producing good numbers, there's still positivity. It's not as positive as NVIDIA, obviously, but there's positivity there. Yeah, it hit 780. Yeah, NVIDIA hit 780 a couple times now. It's still going. Really would like to see consolidation before heading higher, but I totally get it. It was great news all across the board. The only thing kind of holding it back was a little bit of the China side of things. But it sounds like the call, at least from what I was listening to this morning, they were trying to solve that issue. Probably creating specific chips that they have for China itself. I'm gonna go get a second cup of coffee. I'm gonna be right back. Give me like 2 minutes here.
Headlines and breaking news 24 hours a day at Bloomberg.com, on Bloomberg Television, and the Bloomberg Business app. This is a Bloomberg Business Flash.
It's
10:40 on Wall Street. We do check markets all day long here at Bloomberg. S&P 500 index could see a record close. Right now we have got the S&P back above 5,000, 5,062, up 80 points right now. That is a gain of 1.6%. Dow Industrials pushing higher by 265 points, up 0.7%. NASDAQ by far the outperformer, up 2.4% right now, up 373 points. Right now we have got NVIDIA. That is the big stock story today, surging by 15.5%. Best level of the day on NVIDIA. Stocks are extending their bull run as NVIDIA's solid outlook rekindles the AI frenzy, and manufacturing data bolsters confidence in the U.S. economy. The 10-year right now, 4.30%, with a 2-year at 4.68%. Now, what about the Federal Reserve and rate cuts? The focus is on NVIDIA, of course, but the Fed's still a major issue. Sarah Hewen at Standard Chartered Bank believes a Fed rate cut will come about mid-year.
Our own view is June. I think markets are broadly in line with that. Of course, we have to see what happens with the upcoming inflation data, the upcoming employment data. We have a sense that the next core PCE reading is going to be strong.
And again, 10-year right now, 4.30%, with a 2-year, 4.68%. Spot gold down $2 the ounce to $2,023, down 0.1%. West Texas Intermediate crude oil is pushing higher. WTI up now by about 0.1%. Again, recapping NVIDIA, the big stock story today, up 15.4%. Best level right now. S&P up 80, up 1.6%. I'm Charlie Pellet. That is a Bloomberg Business Flash.
All right, Charlie Pellet, thank you so much. We appreciate that. Emily Gaffeo sitting in for Alex Steele. I'm Paul Sweeney. We're live here in our Bloomberg Interactive Broker Studio. Also streaming live on YouTube, so head over to youtube.com and search a Bloomberg podcast, and that's where you'll find us. As Charlie was just mentioning, it's kind of all things NVIDIA today, but there was another big company out with a really good print on their release. That was Moderna, mRNA, the pharmaceutical company, put out some good numbers. Stock is up about 9% today. This is a $36 billion market cap stock. And this is an important company. It's one of the companies that deliver the COVID-19 vaccine. So always have a special place in my heart for sure, along with a couple of others. Sam Fazeli, he covers this stock. He covers this sector. He's a director of research for Global Industries. He's a senior pharma analyst, one of the best in the city of London for Bloomberg Intelligence. So, Sam, looks like a really good quarter for Moderna. What stood out for you?
NVIDIA stood out for me, Paul. Sorry, just kidding. After 2 days of shenanigans in the markets about how high numbers were. But anyway, we're not talking about NVIDIA. It's nothing to do with me. Moderna, clearly they beat in 4Q. I mean, they'd given guidance. Analysts had followed the guidance. They were looking for a certain number, and then 4Q beat, as I can see on the terminal in MODL, 12.4%, right? And they turned a profit, a small one, in 4Q. So that was particularly
and we're back. What were they talking about?
It's just one quarter. It doesn't really change the dynamic of what's going on in
what were they talking about on here?
2025 and beyond.
Tell us a little bit about that dynamic
Moderna?
as you look ahead for Moderna. How exactly are they pivoting
That's some COVID
away
stuff.
from being?
I feel like that's some COVID stuff. They were talking about NVIDIA and Moderna. Stuff on rate cut in May, or does that say March? Oh, sorry. Someone else say something real quick. There's a little heart. I can't read Robert's word that starts with M. I hate when that happens. Say, I'm typing this because Lucas told me to. Can't read it yet. All right, we're seeing. Ooh, okay. Got kind of a 15-minute indecision. This is where consolidation might happen. Actually, a good sign to consolidate before getting to that 800 wouldn't be bad. Even if we dip down, kind of got something one like this. We really need this to catch up. Or actually, I'd rather it be like that. Actually, this is a 9. I probably should switch this to a 5. If it's probably not nearly as far away. Yeah, it's right on it. So if we lose the 5, you can come test that 20. See this message. So bad. I can trick it so I can see it. May. Oh, what did we say during the live video? If they start to say, hey, we might need to cut in May after saying they feel like they're not in control of inflation, may be a good sign that something in the system is breaking. The banks do not like these rates where they're at. Tesla, oh my gosh, Tesla now breaking down. I'm going to pull up a 30-minute here. If we create some kind of divergence, this isn't bad, but if we start to exceed this point on the MACD, I'd be a little bit worrisome that we're going to come and test this. PLT getting a slight bounce. Dollar starting to fade. VIX starting to break down. Hopefully we get a little sign. Hey, the VIX is going to break down. Cool. We come down to this gap. But if the VIX wants to break up, it's still in this consolidation here. We could get that pullback, a slight consolidation to get the VIX to pop a little bit, and then we start to see that come down. NVIDIA sitting at 773. I'll switch to a 15-minute. Tax or commercial real estate going to cause all of it. Yeah, so there's a ton of problems across the board in the banking system and the credit card system right now. We're starting to see delinquencies go up across the board. We're actually having a lot of these charts that are showing divergences on those delinquencies that are getting into positive territory. So you're starting to see a shift where everybody is kind of going underwater as far as the debt side of thing goes. And then if we get something like job losses, which we've seen a lot of cuts on these jobs lately. Like I said in the last live video, the 4-letter word that is being searched 700% higher this year at this time than last year is the word jobs. So if people don't have jobs and they just took on a loan from a bank at the rates where they are going to struggle to pay those numbers. What do? Some of them pull out credit cards and do cash back or cash, whatever, the cash pulls from the card itself, get that cash in their pocket, and then they pay with that, and then they go delinquent on the credit cards, and then after that runs out, people really start to struggle because you literally have no way to pay your debt, and you can't get more credit cards. So IQs, island reversal is on the table. So if we remain up here and then we get some kind of drop, island reversal is possible. We see this hold up here by end of day and then we drop tomorrow. Let's see if there's any data coming out tomorrow. Still talking about Moderna. I don't think there's too much tomorrow. What is it? Peace. Friday we have pretty much nothing. Tuesday we have durable goods. S&P Case-Shiller home price. Yearly. I think GDP will be a very good one to watch Wednesday. And PCE on Thursday. So you do have 3 pieces of data next week. It comes well. Expected to be forecast 49.5, previously 49. Amazon getting exactly where it could set up that right shoulder. Now did this 2-hour cross? Yeah, 2-hour cross, so there is some positivity possibly here. If this continues into tomorrow, you can see positivity, test this high, make a new one. We have this little line, this little trend between these two highs. Pretty much that's the max it can go. All bets are off in this market right now, though. So 175, right at this high, is where I'll start to pay attention. A little closer to Amazon might be a good place to, if we get outside of this high, look for a 2-hour divergence to cross because we're right by negative territory. That bad news could be right around the corner. Or it could just be some kind of small pullback again, and all we have to do is pay attention to this MACD, see if it crosses back up later on. Boom, you got yourself a bull run one more time for Amazon. NVIDIA, same thing, right? So if this 2-hour pops up and curls back over, good sign that the daily might roll. But if this wants to remain up there, kind of come above this level and then create one in the future, this could extend out for quite some time. But time to be patient. Look for this. If it does happen, that could be your sign that NVIDIA is going to pull back. People are going to take profit, something like that. Because in this big surge, you really want to pay attention to momentum after that event. Watch IWM going red. Green right now. This could be some big flagging, honestly. I would say maybe take it like this. It looks like it's kind of expanding here. Maybe if you take it from here, let's clone it. Sometimes if you clone it, get a good idea. I mean, it could be a flag at this point. So any kind of pop here, if we remain in this zone, could be right shoulder. But this zone's important, right? So we've talked about this in the past too. This zone being where a lot of sell-offs happen, right? Boom, sell-off, boom, sell-off, boom, sell-off. Sell-off, buy back up. Is it just an ABC, just an extended one? You do have a 1, what is this? Maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now does it drop? 5 push higher sometimes leads to drops. Seeing some consolidation maybe on the 15-minute for NVIDIA. Holding at high levels as long as it stays above 750. I'm thinking it's deep. All right, now we are in the last 8 minutes here of the stream. I am just going to run through all of the stocks that we cover on this channel in this last few minutes here. We're going to just run through it really quick. Try to do it mostly on a 15-minute. Seeing that surge higher already, I'm going to have to switch off the 15-minute, but seeing that surge higher, just want you to pay attention to this 2-hour. We now are setting up a divergence between this high and this high. So we could get that triple divergence across the board. You're going to not see that triple divergence confirmed on the RSI, but we will have the single divergence there. So this is what we want to pay attention to in case there is selling. We're starting to see that start to fade right around the weekly expected move. We still could get that push higher. That's something to pay attention to. The Q is not necessarily near it. You want it to use the dailies here as some support. Get this to actually cross on this MACD, get into positive territory. That's where you can see that positivity come in. But if that gets us by end of day today, or maybe first beginning of the day tomorrow, watch for that fading. You're outside of the monthly or outside of the weekly. You can create a divergence here, and maybe there's something that might break over the weekend. So it's a time to still, you know, if you made money off this move, we kind of called this move with that 30-minute divergence, said to be cautious around NVIDIA earnings, but NVIDIA gave us the good news with that divergence down here. Boom, look at that pop. It's a very, very good pop. Apple, this is one reason we're a little bit worried. We do have divergence like across the board here and right over here on the 2-hour. We have a 30-minute divergence down here that has led to this little ABC, but we haven't seen much besides that. We really would like to see some strength out of Apple. We have a lot of confident investors in Apple who really would dictate, hey, this is a good move by going green for a significant green bar. And what that would do is it'd be able to roll over this daily. So if this daily can roll up, you do have divergence between these 2 points actually. So you do have a pretty golden setup that we talk about in my course to head higher. Is that going to be a lower high once more and then we break down? Or are we actually going to see this extend for quite some time? That's what I would be questioning at this point. Amazon, see if we're able to curl up on the daily side of things. We could be creating some kind of divergence over the next few days. Maybe paying attention to GDP would be a good thing for next week. 2-hour would be what I would be looking at. 2-hour gave us this divergence up here that kind of hinted us, hey, we're going to see some kind of pullback, maybe a full reversal of trend. That consolidated didn't happen. We weren't able to fully break below this wick. So we talked about creating a right shoulder up here with that gap. Is that happening now? Well, if this rolls over into negative territory, you got a good shot at some negativity coming, right? Because we're in negative territory. But if this wants to see positivity, if we don't get any bad news, which there's no news tomorrow unless these Fed speakers sound bearish, this can extend higher. Really would be paying attention to my weekly expected move on this one for tomorrow, and then weekly expected move on Patreon for next week. If that wants to happen, we could actually be creating a bigger grand scheme of things head and shoulders over here. But we just want to pay attention to it, getting that crossing right next to positive territory. Good sign. Tesla. Tesla, a little bit wonky as of right now. You're in positive territory. You have that going for you to the bull side. Good trade we found down here with this divergence. Good little trade. Led to an ABC pattern. And now we're seeing if it wants a kind of 5 push higher, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 to get us up here. But you do have this flagging as of right now. So we have to be a little cautious on Tesla, probably reacting to the Rivian news. Rivian down almost, what is it, 25% or something like that. Okay, so Tesla a little wonky there, but you do have that daily that's crossed on the MACD. Could be good as long as that 2-hour remains. NVIDIA, overall, we had that 15-minute divergence down here that told us something, but you never know what can happen with earnings. Now, the technicals did get it right this time. I still did not trade around it because this easily could have went the other way, guys. So congratulations if you did take this trade and you made some money here, but I know that some people had it the other way. So it is a good time to be cautious, take some money off the table before earnings is what I normally do. And then if I want to make a play, I make it a small play. That'll gain me a little bit. So good move higher. We were talking about that 700 level, 700 for that call wall looking pretty steep. So if we start to drop below that, like if we fade below that, it might sell off really quick. But we said 750 is going to be really important after that. And guess what? We gapped right up to 750, right? We gapped at open at 750.25. That got us above it. We saw a dip down, but we bought back up quick, using it as support to head higher, maybe to our next point, which is up here around 800. Okay, so 800 is where that huge call wall is. And so if we see price get out of there tomorrow, people can start to take profit. We can see that fade on Friday. Maybe that leads into some kind of pullback going into next week. Then we want to pay attention to the news that's coming out. GDP, PMI, and PCE. I think all those things are next week. So we got to pay attention to those. AMD surging, right? So AMD is just going to be one of those stocks you want to follow NVIDIA to see what AMD is going to do. We got that crossing of the MACD, not necessarily going to get a divergence here. We want to see if this is able to hold at this level. I'm really looking at a daily, seeing if this is actually able to curl up. That would be a divergence that could form in the future. If this wants to kind of reject this crossing, maybe tomorrow, if we do get that profit taking with NVIDIA, we actually could see this start to fade and not cross on this MACD, kind of give us that rejection, which we're getting pretty close to negative territory. So if we get some kind of rejection, we talked about a sell the news event. This could be that sell the news event, but will that lead to a full reversal? It's kind of up in the air. I think you really just want to see if this is able to get into negative territory. Microsoft was one that we were paying attention to. Said this gap here, we had a little head and shoulders that could form. Looks like that is forming as of right now. If you want to see more positivity, you need this MACD to curl up. It's very simple. Positive territory. Talk about it in the course all the time. Positive territory, positivity can come. Negative territory, negativity can come. So as we get closer to this center line, see if that's able to roll into negative territory. One thing that we are also paying attention to today is the VIX. If that is down by more than 10% by the end of the day, I gotta sneeze. If the VIX is down by more than 10% today, you have that 85% chance for an down day in the SPY. Okay, so pay attention to that going on throughout today. If we break this down to like a 2-hour, really just looking for this to curl up. If it's going to curl up today, positive territory. If it's going to go further down, could sink into negative. I'm paying attention to this gap right here. Pretty much this zone right down in here between this 12-12 where we see those volatility spikes and between where we keep seeing volatility spikes every single time in this market. So I'm really just paying attention to a little zone right down in here for volatility to come back in. Believe it or not, this can be a sell the news event, kind of like Bitcoin likes to do. Everyone buys into it, and then once that certain price point is hit, people do hit the sell button, and that can pile on when you have a very parabolic move like we do on NVIDIA. So we can really see this start to drop down. Maybe we create some kind of head and shoulders here, but as of right now, you can't say anything except for this is bullish, and if it continues to be bullish, we could see consolidation and remain in this positive territory. So I hope that you guys had some fun this morning. I really appreciate you guys coming by, smashing that like button, doing all that good stuff. And I appreciate you guys asking about the course. I did put a lot of effort into that. So I really appreciate when people ask about it. Good luck on your trades the rest of the day. I'll see you for tonight's YouTube video. All right, turn those notifications on and subscribe if you're not already. Smash that like button for me to let you know you like these daily ranges. And I'll see you guys tomorrow morning. Have a good day. Peace.